It was honestly pretty unclear whether or not I'd be able to get this video out today, because I'm still in 2019 and the chapter ends up getting translated pretty close to the hour before 2020 hits. And I just did a video on like Natsu's Zareth and Ignia, because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get this review out before the before the end of the year, because I wanted to just get one last video in for my channel for 2019, and obviously the one that I want most is Fairy Tail. And with the chapter, like, I read it this morning what I could in the Japanese, but I wanted for a translated version to really get into the contents of what's going on. So there is a lot of things to really discuss in this one. It's not even close to as like, oh, we got one thing to really like. There are multiple different aspects of what went down in this chapter for essentially everything to really kind of just lay over and talk about. For one, just the beginning. Now, the White Witch bringing up she's human, and that alone makes me wonder, okay, what is exactly gonna be her whole shtick of then how she's alive? Is it this body hopping? Is it gonna, it's gonna rely on having, absorbed all this magic from other people? Is it gonna tie into why she's doing this? Like, I thought that was really intriguing. We don't have a name for it yet, but I think the fact when she's like discussing, okay, she is in fact human, that is by itself got my interest, because the immortals I kind of see as like a step above humans, because they've pretty much stepped into their own category. I mean, you got like, we got like demons, and the dragons, and the Machias. You got all these different races in this series. I'm so hoping I'm pronouncing Wall's race properly. We got a whole race introduced in the Albrecht arc with only one member of their of that race being put into it, and maybe we'll get more in the future. Regardless of which, we have now the White Witch revealing she's human, and on top of that, when Natsu's talking to her, and he's like bringing up the fact that like, why did you want a body of a cat though? You didn't need an exceed if you're human. Why didn't take a human body? There is a sad moment on her face, and it looks like that was the thing that kind of made her be like, all right, I don't want you talking anymore. I'm just gonna end this. Obviously, that is going to relate into her story, which again, I'm very interested in finding out what exactly in her past made it so she wanted to be tied to this cat. Like, is it going to because it's 100 years, we don't have an exact number, but she's supposedly, been doing this for over 100 years, she's over 100 years old. And we know that a little over 100 years, well, actually, no, it's like 160 something years now. I'd have to look at because guilds were formed in like X633, so it's been like 160 something years at the moment. But at that point, we can kind of gauge like maybe around then it's gonna have something to do with maybe like events with guilds, and it's gonna somehow tie it, because she doesn't think magic itself is bad. She thinks magic, when it's gotten so powerful and like it's all gathered into one location, it's bad. I'm guessing it's gonna have something to do with guilds, and that would really kind of add into the whole fact that Elosaria is involved in all this. He was the one that helped start like the whole Wizards Guild. So with that, I'm very much hopeful that we'll find out some more about her soon, because again, we don't have a name for her, but at the same time, we got these nice little hints about her that I really liked. Also, the fact that Natsu, regardless of like, his speed, his level of magical power, even if you brought in like his hacks, savage dragon fire, burning time and stuff, crazy things, it's not really gonna matter with the White Witch, because she's just gonna drain his magic, drastically weaken him, literally by lifting a hand at him. And it's probably some weird, almost anti-magic, nulling magic kind of area, something kind of like Orbs, where it's still, quote-unquote a magic, like Yuka's is a wizard, but it's an anti-magic. I stuttered really hard right there, but with this whole wave magic, it's an anti-magic, but it still kind of falls under magic. But it'd be kind of hard for them to regularly kind of cancel with the way that they work. There is hope, because Natsu, not only does he have magic, but as he seemingly still has his Aetherius power somewhere in there. can unlock curse power, and if he unlocks curse power, that is going to obviously, give him something to use against the White Witch. But also, if he ends up getting more, further down the power of a dragon, because, she's seemingly can't just drain the dragons. There are methods to it, and we do know that in the fairy tale universe that dragons have a natural resistance. They have this kind of like high-end stat against magic. That's why they needed dragon slaying magic. And the only magic you really could look at that would really hurt them without being dragon slaying magic is something probably really, really ridiculous and pretty hacks on its own. Something kind of like Ethereon, probably works on the average dragon. Obviously not on a big dragon, but still would be something. And that's not like, oh, if it's magic it can't hurt them. It's gotta be something overwhelming for them, and it'd be hard for any of these dragon gods. So you would need something to straight like end the world. Because funny enough, like with the two movies canon, that means all of these like big characters are stronger than the Phoenix, who was gonna literally scorch the surface of the whole planet. But anyway, after that point, we ended up getting, Happy throwing the orb at her, because you remember the comment, when she said that she couldn't use her own power in order to destroy the orb. So he was like hesitant, like, oh, well, maybe she can't touch them. Threw it at her, ended up not even bare skin touching, like it just made contact with her clothing, and and touched her like through it. There was that layer of cloth between them, and like it has like all this wood and crystals like growing off her body. So I'm very curious on this aspect, because one, I think it ends up helping push my whole theory that the orbs are sealing, that there's some form of sealing magic to them. And to what extent, who knows? I still have a slight theory that maybe she's actually Selene, because one thing that we do know about moon dragon power, well, moon powers in general, when you look at like moon drip, it's got some form of dispelling properties. Obviously moon, when you see the moon, it's very associated with the color white. That's kind of a loose one, because when it comes to that, when it's like, well, Selene's got to be at least 400, because fleeing from Acnologia and whatnot, so it'd be kind of hard to tie it in. Maybe they could work it out, but then it'd be like, well, are they gonna skip over the Selene stuff, and is she gonna end up just being an overarch villain instead of getting her own arc? I don't know. That one is still a little bit curious to me. I'm okay with her, just being as she is, some really powerful, like, old mage, old wizard that, has some opposing force to Zareth. The Selene thing is definitely an interesting kind of, like, idea when you think about it, because we do know some aspects about, the moon in the fairy tale universe. It does have, like, a level of power and a level of magic property to it, and it would really nicely tie into like some of the aspects with it. I honestly, actually, it would also help slight in my mind the idea of if Natsu becomes like, if you checked out my theory of the 7 dragon gods, Natsu becoming one of them, and because they're all based off of the 7 luminary days, missing 2 days, Sun Day and Earth Day, and Natsu meaning summer. Out of those, maybe he becomes the sun dragon god, and if Toka is the White Witch is the moon dragon, it'd be like, oh cool, sun and moon in there. Maybe have some of that kind of like weird duality, and just like mirrored over entities and representation of them. It could be something. But as it is, right now we don't know much about her. We did get some of that news, and also it would be kind of interesting, because it'd be like, well, maybe these orbs specifically seal dragons, and that's why it messed with her. And we do see crystals come on her, but it is obviously a lacrima. But like I also did a video. I know I gotta reference them in case anybody wants to go check them out on Selene, because with the Dragon Cry movie canon, we can look at Stellanium, and it's very similar how it operates to how moon dragon powers are described. Absorbing magic from the moon, sun, and stars, and holding it into itself. And Animus as well, like that was his thing. He had Stellanium all over his body. So I'm wondering if he was in fact going to be some form of moon dragon, because if that's where he's getting his power, then obviously it would tie in similar to moon dragon magic. And as well as just obviously not fairy tale, but it is Hiroshima related. If you've ever seen the Meal Galuna, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it. No, even if you don't read the series, it is a beautiful design for a dragon. But it is an elder dragon that Hiroshima designed for Monster Hunter Oraji, I think it's how it's pronounced, or Monster Hunter Storm, which is a 4-volume series he did. I believe it was 4 volumes. And it was, this giant, like, crystal, like, starlit sky nighttime dragon. It's very beautiful looking, and I'm just wondering, maybe is it, the moon dragon gonna have some of these crystal designs too, and, tie into them? Who knows? Either way, I'm very much looking forward to figuring out more about the White Witch. Hopefully we at least get a name for her soon, so I don't have to keep calling her the White Witch, as a title. It'd be like calling Seraph the Black Wizard for everybody, or forever. It's like, no, it's Seraph. You can call them by their title, but, it's special when you get their name. But, as it is, we're gonna have to wait to find out more stuff about her. This chapter, legit though, before I get into more of what happened, this was such a hell of a way to end 2019 and go into 2020. With a chapter like this. I guess for Japan though, it was 2020 when this chapter dropped. So big fresh start, outside, like over here in America, and then big fresh ending, and then big setup start in Japan, and then obviously for this, like 2020 is gonna have a lot of like really good stuff coming up. I'm super stoked. I didn't even talk about all the stuff in this chapter. You got stuff also like Happy, when he goes to save Natsu and gets him out of there, how he's determined to save Toka. And that level, what's funny is, like, with Happy, it's nice to see him be a little hero, and he wants to save this little cat that's got a thing for him. It actually has a lot more weight to it if you've read the Happy spin-off, where he's the main character and he does a lot of heroic things. And I'm wondering where, I'm pretty sure it's canon. I don't think they're going to reference anything in it into the canon, but relatively for Fairy Tail, it's like, as long as it fits into the story and it doesn't contradict things, then seemingly it is canon. And, could easily have been, the year gap between Albereth and 100 Years Quest. Bam, Happy goes on his own little adventure. It's nice to see, like, and then, he did all this stuff to be a hero over there, and now he's over here doing his own thing while still being tied to the main cast. It's good stuff. Then we get back to Scullion Madmole versus Mira Jane and Elfman. Scullion decides that, they need to retreat. They have stuff they need to take care of. And with Wraith defeated and Kyria defeated, they're like, we need to withdraw. There's too many enemies around here. Here's the thing. I'm going to double comment on this because I've seen people argue this. I don't agree to even the slightest extent. Listen. Gray is gonna hype up Mira Jane. Everybody in that crew is gonna hype up Mira Jane because she's Mira Jane, the She Devil, the She Demon, one of the S classes of the Fairy Tail Guild. He grew up with her being like a big dog, and Gray most certainly surpassed her. Like Albereth, he easily surpassed her. I don't want to hear anybody argue it, because not only does he have better showings, in the fact that he crushed Invul while Mira Jane barely took a self-nerfed Jacob, but Gray also counters her. He's got devil slaying powers. Like, he can straight counter a demon. Back at the point of the Tartarus arc, he was 9 demon gates level. A lot of the main cast were around that kind of level with the 9 demon gates. Mardgeir was a full league above the 9 demon gates. Like, if he wanted to, he could have easily trashed any of the 9 demon gates with no effort. Gray, though, because he had demon slaying magic, devil slaying, he was able to damage Mardgeir and was able to use the whole, fact he could affect devil powers and curses, with that big boost and bonus to it, and, damage somebody out of his league, for sure. Like, you subtract the devil slaying powers, Mardgeir, was definitely beating down on Natsu and Gray, for sure. It wasn't until, Natsu went Dragon Force and made an opening for Gray that they were able to pull a victory. I don't think for a second that Scullion is like, oh, Mira Jane is too powerful, I gotta get out of here. And I don't think for a second that Gray, in an actual fight, would lose to Mira Jane. Listen, I know Mira Jane is popular, people like her, but she's not holding up a spot in this match. Sorry. And Elfman, I love Elfman too. I love both of their characters, but the they're not big shots. I mean, they could get their own spin-off. I mean, here's the thing: if it was like Lucy, it's like, oh yeah, she could, she could still get pushed by some of these guys, but Gray, absolutely not. I don't think so. Like Scullion absolutely did not take them seriously. Like, he didn't even use Black Ash. When he was fighting Gray and he was, getting his attacks matched by Gray, he's like, all right, okay, I got shit to do. I can't be doing this. Black Ash, Gray almost died, and that was that. On top of that, what we find out more in this chapter is during the whole, like, scuffle, or not scuffle, the whole interaction between Nebel and Wendy, we find out that, okay, cool, 5th generation do have Dragon Force, and it's different. Whatever theirs is different. There's definitely a thing with, obviously, with 5th gen, that there's something that's going to be tweaked about them, because we know, oh, they don't get motion sickness. So, okay, what is the trade-off? What's different about theirs that is going to, be either like a double-edged sword, or, be not nearly as good as the pout? Kind of like with 2nd and 3rd generation Dragon Force. They get Dragon Force much easier, but the boost isn't even close to as much as, like, artificially induced, like, through power pushing Dragon Force. Like, look at, just go back and look at, like, Laxus when he put on the scales, Cobra when he put on the scales, Sting and Rogue when he put on the scales. The boost they got wasn't even close to Natsu in the Tower of Heaven with that, like, very low level of, scales of Dragon Force. Or, the fight when he boosted up the fight Zero. It's definitely Dragon Force. I've argued this with people. Listen, Dragon Force is literally, it will temporarily push you further down the line of becoming a dragon. It will get you closer to having a dragon's level of power, and, then turn off. Okay, yeah, it gets you back to wherever you were, because we know dragon slaying magic, it will slowly turn you into a dragon. Dragon Force just temporarily pushes you into a spot way further down the line. So, you're getting dragon scales and dragon arms, Cobra. It's dragon slaying magic, or Dragon Force, rather, for dragon slaying magic. But we know when Nebel's talking that he's, he saw Wendy as Wendy busts out Dragon Force, which I love Wendy. She's awesome. Such a good character, and she's ready to get serious. She's looking good with her Dragon Force. She's got her, well, she doesn't have scales. She has feathers, because Sky Dragons have feathers. But, she's getting ready to really go at this fight. And Nebel is not caring about retreating, because he wants to eat Wendy, but he also wants this fight. And he's going to end up, dropping his Dragon Force next chapter. So I'm stoked to see what exactly his is. I'm guessing theirs is going to be way more grotesque, and way more like, instead of, oh, you get some dragon parts, it's like you straight turn into a dragon, or you become some malefic kind of, like, dragon chimera. Because the Dragon Eaters, we know their attributes are all weird. So we don't know if it's like, oh, well, like a Sky Dragon. Okay, cool. We've seen Sky Dragons. They exist in the Fairy Tail world. But like a Sticky Dragon, maybe theirs is going to be different, because, like, those dragons don't actually exist. And it's, it's some weird self-created dragon. So it'll almost look, again, like a chimera. I'm so hyped for so many of these little notes in there. But also, I think one of the ones that, I think the Dragon Force one is probably the one that I'm most interested in, just because I'm like, oh sweet, we're gonna find out next chapter, find out what exactly, it's like another difference between other Dragon Slayer generations and 5th generations. We got a lot of interesting stuff about the White Witch. We got some stuff about Diablos, which is gonna be really cool. Like Kyria, Kyria mounting Laxus was, this is a spicy moment. The whole thing, it's like, oh, you can't eat him and his magic because, he's controlled by the White Witch. Consuming a power that's controlled by the White Witch right now will make you under her spell, which is like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's probably why they're gonna get out of here and not deal with Alderaan, because with Alderaan, if he gets under the White Witch's spell, they're not gonna want to deal with that. And they're gonna try and get ahead of them. Okay, they're here, we're gonna go to a different spot before they get there. Smart. And during that, he's revealed that they're going to bring out the strongest unit within Diablos. I'm wondering if it's strongest overall, or if it's, like, actually top group. Because it's kind of like how Makarov is the guild master, but, guild arts, I still would put guild arts. Even like Sirius Island, I would put guild arts just above Makarov.
Gildarts has always just, to me, seemed stronger than Makarov. But, you know, at that point, like, Georg looked powerful, but if these guys are stronger, these Black Dragon Slayer Knights, I'm wondering if the whole, oh, they're Black Dragon Slayers, like if it's going to have any reference, like, to Acnologia, or if it's just the name. I'm okay with either. Either would be really interesting. Actually, you know what would be really intriguing? If, like, the whole, like, oh, they're Black Dragon Slayer Knights, it's some form of order, like, within it, like, maybe it's like the River of the Dragon Eaters somehow relate to God Serena's family, because we know that he had this whole thing about, like, oh, you know, I've been doing all this specifically to find and kill Acnologia. It's like, I wish we found out more about what your goals were and where this stemmed from before your dumbass decided to challenge somebody so far beyond you that you just got blitzed in one shot. But, you know, as it is, it could expand on it more. It doesn't have to, but I'm hoping it does. Regardless of which, I'm looking forward to these guys, because if these guys are the big dogs, then we're gonna see some big, you know, some rough guy shit come up here soon. And the Dragon Eaters so far have still been really, to me, been really impressive. They've been consistently really impressive. None of them have seemed like they're chumps. And I know, like, oh, Kyria just got beat by Laxus, but again, that's like with God Serena. God Serena wasn't a chump. God Serena, you know, he ran through Jura, Wolfheim, and Hyperion, or Hyperion rather easily, and Warren. But I mean, Warren's more of a support guy. But he ran through them, but he tried to challenge a guy who soloed the planet twice. I mean, you know, you can't be like, oh man, this guy's fodder. He lost to literally the by far strongest character we know of. It's like, that's not how that works. Absolutely not how that works. So, though Laxus isn't the strongest guy we know he's definitely up there. And Kyria, you know, having kind of like a spot near Urza without all her big fancy new swords, it's like, okay, yeah, you know, she's strong, but Laxus strong? No. It'd be like if Gildarts showed up and Gildarts beat one of them. It's like, yeah, he's Gildarts. Or if Natsu went Dragon Force, you know, went all out and one shot Nadmol, it'd be like, yeah, that's expected. Unless they're dropping something of equal value, then I'm gonna expect you know, big stuff to, you know, put them down, because that's really, it would be more surprising if it's like, oh yeah, you're gonna drop your Dragon Force biggest attack on me. I'm just gonna stand here and be like, okay, then how are they ever gonna beat these guys? Them being trouble in like their base forms and stuff, and then, you know, we know now that they also Dragon Force. Is like, oh cool, they could have powered up too. But, you know, that's something we could get. You know, something we could wrap our hand on. If Kyria was matching Laxus, it'd be like, holy shit, like what are these guys, like, where do they really come from? And it's like, okay, yeah, she's powerful, but she's not Laxus strong. Especially Kyria, because she's, you know, she's a blade dragon, and somewhat how Madmol seems to be, you know, as an armor dragon. He's not a big damage character. He's, you know, he's obviously all about defense, so he's not gonna have a lot of offensive capability. So Kyria is going to be all offense, not have a lot of defensive capability, which explains also how she could damage people that, you know, would be able to one-shot her. Anyway, I've been going on for a while because, like I said, there was a lot of stuff to really talk about. I'm extremely excited to see where this goes. Ida Hiroshima has said that there's, you know, going to be a lot of surprising announcements for 2020. You know, we got the game coming up in March. I'm super stoked for. And all around, like, I mean, even with this, like, oh man, we got all this stuff coming up, I know that in the next chapter we're gonna get Dragon Force Wendy, who obviously Wendy's one of my favorite characters in the series. Love her. She's the MVP of the series. You know, hardworking, good kid. Against Nebel, who I already like, and is gonna show us some, you know, not only, oh, 5th generation Dragon Force, what makes it different, but also apparently it's forbidden. So we're gonna find out why it's forbidden. We're back on the 2-week schedule, which is going to be a little bit, it's going to be a little bit of a wait, but it's all right because, you know, it's worth the wait. I mean, this chapter was worth the wait. And what's funny is, like, after we got back to the 2-week release, we just got like a chapter that was just loaded with material to like look at and unbox. So other than that, comment below, tell me your thoughts about this chapter. I'm already doing this for 25 minutes. And yeah, and tell me what exactly you're looking forward to most of all these things. You know, the Black Dragon Slayer, or what was it? Well, hang on, I gotta look over. Yeah, the Black Dragon.
Oh, a hiccup right there, sorry. Black Dragon Slayer Knights, finding out why the White Witches, like, can't touch these orbs, you know, why she took the body of a cat, you know, this Dragon Slayer stuff. Super hype. It's gonna be really hype in this next one. Other than that, everybody should comment below, thumbs up the video, press the like button and subscribe button, and check out my other videos. With that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed. I thank you all for listening. Bye.